we're going to have a chat about is real estate agents have the necessity for real estate agents, even business people out there, just to be a little bit dumb while they're doing their business. And the reason why is no one loves to do business with a smart ass. No one loves to do a business with a know-it-all. And people like to feel that they're actually helping the person out a little bit. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples. How we going, Michael? We good?
Yeah, we're all good. Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Luke. Morning minutes with myself, Michael Burjo, Mark Novak. The perfect real estate agent has to be a little dumb.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean? You don't want to work with an idiot, but as you said, you don't want to work with a smart ass either. So tell us how this, what are you thinking?
Look, I don't mean to boast, but I just mean to qualify. Over 25, 27 years of being a real estate agent, exposed a lot to the northern beaches of Sydney, exposed a lot to the eastern suburbs of Sydney, met some, again, not bragging, but met some super, I'm talking top 50, most wealthiest person in Australia. I've met, some brilliant business people. Now, when I say business people, I look at it a different way. I don't just measure in dollars. I measure in family. I measure in happiness, and I sort of look through that. So it's not just the qualification of these guys being big swinging dicks, but it's the qualification of these guys being really good people.
And the same on the commercial side, people who've got 20, 50, 100, 150 million worth of property. We're seeing a very common trend in all of them, how they do business and how they negotiate from a buyer's point of view, from a vendor's point of view. And a lot of the time, they're probably out negotiating the agent to facilitate the deal with how they keep it simple.
Yeah, and you know what? And by telling everyone, our viewers, about these guys, I want to emphasize, I'm not boasting. I'm not saying, hey, I know these people, or hey, we're super because we know these people. But I'm trying to qualify that we do have exposure to some of the richest people in the country, and we do, which then qualifies us to actually draw parallel lines between all of them and say, and make this comment. So when we're talking about real estate agents and real estate agents having to be a little bit dumb and tying it back to this, the one common strain that I do find with all these people is, and I'll give you an example. I had a client that traveled all over the world, fortunate enough to have the money to do that and the time to do that. And he came back and I said, listen, what did you learn when you came back? And he said, Mark, being dumb gets you a very, very long way. And I was like, what do you mean by that? He said, well, I was in some really messed up places in America, as in places you just don't want to be, lost. And the great thing is if you just act a little dumb and act a little innocent, he goes, people will help you all the time. But if you're like a smart ass, people will just walk away. And that's the same with the real estate agent. Your real estate agent has to be, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's how I got through a lot of school, getting in trouble. We act a little dumb and innocent. Oh, I didn't know you couldn't go there. My apologies. Yeah.
And it's funny that, and I think when you meet someone, that innocence or dumbness or whatever actually makes you want to converse or help that person that little bit more. And I think as real estate agents out there, like we constantly self-educate ourselves to become sharper and sharpen that blade. But I think sometimes when you're a little bit dumb, there's a bit more empathy. People are a little bit more willing to work with you. They don't feel like they're on the defense. They don't feel like they're being attacked. They sometimes feel like they often feel like they've got the upper hand in the negotiation or the upper hand in the relationship, which then makes them actually volunteer more information and ledge forward rather than sort of push back and defend themselves.
Yes. And I think so how would you use it? How do I use that? I love it. I do it quite often, especially negotiations, especially when commercial lease negotiation, when there's 15 points of contact. I know you do it as well, Mark, when we're going through a deal. Like we love to do the face-to-face with the client, and there's nothing better than pen and paper, one word's like in front of them, like rent. Okay, is that what you think it is? What length of lease? And you're really breaking it down. Like you've had the verbal conversation, and then you're almost writing it down, and then you're going through it again. And you're like, is this what? And then you're almost saying, do you agree with this? Do you understand this? Okay. The one thing I love again is where you're playing and you pretend, not pretend, it's almost like you're talking to yourself saying, okay, rent, what does that mean? Or rent free. Okay, that's the time I get free before I have to start paying rent. It's 3 months. You're almost talking dumb to yourself, so it's not to them, but you're explaining it. So they're on the other side of that conversational negotiation. Oh, okay, I was too scared to ask what rent free meant because it sounds simple, but I didn't want to sound dumb. And then you make yourself dumb by repeating it or simple, explaining it, but very simply. So I find that works very well in all negotiations. I don't think you can be too simple. Lawyers overcomplicated it enough. So let's keep it.
Well, and you know what, like I think that sometimes you can, when you're like, and I'm not talking also guys that being an act. Yeah, I'm talking about genuinely being a little bit dumb or a little bit vulnerable like that in your personality, because some of the smartest people I know in business absolutely royally screw themselves in business because they end up overthinking things way too much, analyzing things way too much, and instead of focusing on the art of the entire deal, they focus on one strain or one part of the deal. They will lose the whole deal over the whole thing because they're thinking about it too much. And I had a great chat with Lisa Novak this morning, and I was saying to her, look, that you know, some of these guys out there, they do so well in business. They almost replace themselves at the time of 55 in business. They don't actually have a place for themselves anymore. And then they actually start doing stupid stuff. And then you see them blow up their whole life or blow up their whole business because they actually overthink
rock and roll.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And you know, leading psychiatrist
you get that in a lot, I'd imagine.
Yeah, well, the leading psychiatrist in Sydney was telling me that his clients they live a life of beige, and they can drive what they want, live where they want, holiday where they want. They have no problems with anything, with health, with money, with nothing. And then they turn to sex or drugs or rock and roll. They start to overcomplicate things again because they're just almost super intelligent or too intelligent. So your real estate agent that's walking in your door that you're buying from or that you're selling with, that real estate agent has to be that little bit, have that innocence or that dumb side or that that humility side to them. You don't want them like Poindexter, overthinker, you know, big talker. You sort of want
Rob Brady, who's just joined us as well. G'day, mate. How are you? I think Rob Brady.
Hey, Rob, how are you? From the UK.
Yes, and I think also what Luke asked, is it a tactic or I think it's not a. Well, I don't know if they're the same, but I find it more of a technique of having that dialogue. I think more of a technique. I use it than a tactic, which I think
I genuinely think I'm dumb.
Yeah. Oh fuck! I just look at my marks. I am.
So I don't.
Yeah, I suppose I'm with you there. Just
to answer your question, Luke. Like me personally, I resigned to the fact that I haven't worked it out. In a room of 20 guys, I'm probably not. I'm probably on the other end rather than I'm definitely on the other end, not the clever end. But that's
you went to Chroma High and I went to Bag Out of the Boys. They're a little bit better. They're a lot better now, but they weren't known for our marks. Let's just say that. But
Chroma High has got a fiercely bad reputation.
Yes.
For not educating as well as it could or should. But so to answer your question, Luke, I genuinely think that, you know, in a room and again, it's an observation. Like, you know, in the last couple of years, you know, one of the top 5 wealthy. I've worked a bit with the top 5 wealthiest man in the country, and one-on-one, and actually couple. but a couple of them. But the one thing that's the
All
one thing
right.
that's no, but the one thing that strikes me with these guys is exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
They don't move, they don't hold a meeting, or they don't move around in a meeting like they are a genius. They move around in the meeting, asking a lot of questions, being vulnerable, being authentic, and probably a little bit aloof. I don't think I can use the word dumb. With me, I can, but with these guys, I wouldn't dare, because it's.
Well, what about Luke? He goes, "What about your street smartness?" I go, "What's that called? That EQ?" I reckon we're pretty off the Richter. When it comes to that, like, that's real estate. I think that's big. I think going through morning Amal. Street smart.
Luke's on fire this morning. Street smart's a great one. And it's defined by two ways. Smartness, I guess, is IQ. So, and EQ is your emotional intelligence. So, and it's really funny. I've got two girls, and one's got high IQ, one's got high EQ. Both I think are going to do just fine. I hope in life. But it's funny, that they can be given the same education, home, family, and then you pull two different things out of life. So I think that's a good one, Luke. That a lot of these guys, I think EQ is more important. I would dare to say, very hard to measure, but I would dare to say more important than IQ.
Yeah, EQ I love. I think I'd choose EQ hands down. At the end of the day, that's what I've got. So, IQ. I just think there's people out there with more degrees than a thermometer, but they just don't make it work. Like that hustle, that work ambition's got to be there as well. But people are so important. It doesn't matter what you do, even if you're in a business that really isn't much to do with people. You can see the people who do really well in that business, which may not be people orientated, are still good with people. So I think EQ. What would you reckon, Luke? Yeah, EQ more important. DNA is interesting. Amal, what we're talking about this morning is that we're seeing a trend with some of the most successful buyers, sellers, agents, business people. They don't overcomplicate it. They treat the negotiations a little dumb and simple, and don't overcomplicate it. So that's what we're talking about this morning. If there's any questions from anyone, give us a shout out. Anything else you want to add on this, Mark?
Yeah, look, I think that our referencing this morning, I'm not saying that it's really good or it's really bad, to be a bit dumb, because I think at the end of the day, there's that saying, he who dies happiest wins. So I walk into an art gallery and I am not entertained. I don't understand it. These guys are really intelligent people, and they really pride themselves on that acumen. They pride themselves on that style of personality. I don't and I won't take that away from those types of people, because that's how they roll, and that's what makes them happy, right?
Yeah.
So for me to say to them, look, be a bit dumb, but it's going to work really well for you, would be an utter insult. But as an observation, for what I want out of life, it's actually served me really, really well. And it's something we want to share this morning, that I think as real estate agents, I think when you're meeting so many people, like am I talking a lot this morning?
A little bit, but you add a little bit of value. There's people listening, there's people communicating. I won't get in your way. I'm just reading the play here. That's okay. I don't need to talk.
I'm pretty passionate about it.
We're just lucky Lisa joined us, and she's got the IQ and the EQ, so I reckon that's why it's saved you having little IQ.
Well, I think Lisa makes up for my dumbness. But like, I'll give you another example, and it's a real estate agent going into an Apple store. So I rock in there with the
kill them with kindness. Yes, I love your Apple stories.
So I rock into the Apple store. Now, if I was a super smart guy, I would walk in there and tell them what the rules are. I would walk in and tell them what they're going to do. and I would, and then I would wait for them to make their move. And that, I reckon, the reaction from that person would be like, "You are a cock, and don't really want to help you. See you, pay up your money, and off you go." Whereas when I went in there and it was like asking really obvious questions, probably a little bit dumb, acting like I wasn't a smart ass, and what do you know? They helped.
Yeah, and I find well, they did more than that. They got you a well, they said not to tell anyone anyway. But you bought the new AirPods, didn't you? So that worked out well.
It worked out well. But
so Mal said, like the doctors that have done their studies but can't have a connection with patients, they just don't do 100%. So you can have the high IQ, but if you can just add a little bit of that EQ to it, it really, really helps.
Big times.
Yeah.
Big time. So looking for your real estate agent, guys, just make sure they got that they got that behind them. That empathy, that EQ, the dumbness.
Yeah. So even if you're looking to nominate an agent, they've got all they look good. They may have the cheap. I don't even know. They got cheapest fee. They may have told some good story, but if you can't build that sort of connection with them, then how's the buyer going to do that? And how's the agent going to get the best price as well? So
that's right.
I know we've done a post previously about you don't need to like your agent, but they've got to have the ability to not overcomplicate it, have that EQ. As Lee said, EQ trumps. It's what you need. Taney's on. G'day, mate. How are you?
Hey, Taney.
Just so yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm in King's Cross at the moment. I'm in King's Cross.
Oh yeah, big night.
Yeah, it's big. It's been happening out there. I've got we got our Christmas party in the office on which everyone's invited to. I'd love to have you there.
Yeah.
Bit of a so friends and family of Novak Christmas party coming up on the 5th, and I've got to get some catering. I've got to get some catering equipment. And I've got. This is a friend of mine who's selling me the catering equipment. Come in, Greg. Go live. Come in, get in here. Look, come in. Come on, mate. Come in, get in here. What are you doing?
Tell us what you're selling.
So If you guys need great equipment, QCC Catering. It's in.
No, he didn't jump in the live. He doesn't get the shout out. We got a million people watching here. Come on.
We got a million viewers. So QCC Catering. If you need any catering equipment, he's the best guy in the country. Jump on his website. Amazing catering equipment. All the biggest restaurants in Australia, these guys supply. QCC Catering. From what can you buy? You can buy glassware. You can buy commercial ovens, commercial cookers. You can buy coffee machines, grinders, anything you want. QCC Catering, napkins, all that stuff.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, and Lisa says, Taney, come to the Christmas party. Yeah, a quick trip up from Melbourne. Easy.
Get in there. Taney, we'll make sure it's worth it for you. You'll love it.
Yeah, perfect.
Alrighty, guys. We'll give you one nugget to take away. Take care.
Chicken nugget? I like them.
Chicken nugget. Bye.
Alrighty, cheers, guys. Bye. Thanks for tuning in.